He thought he was alone, until the alien princess appeared. Yet nothing could prepare him for the isolation that came after the warp drive failure. One moment he had been following a mapped course through the Veil Nebula, and the next, he was stranded on a planet that did not appear on any of his star charts. The Odyssey, his research vessel, had survived the crash landing, but its systems were limited. He was alone, or so he believed. The planet stretched out before him like an endless canvas of colors and textures he had never seen. Mountains shimmered faintly in hues of purple and gold, and vast forests of luminous plants swayed without a breeze. Strange crystalline formations jutted out of the ground, reflecting the twin suns that hung low in the sky. The light was soft, yet brilliant, and the shadows it cast danced across the landscape in unpredictable patterns. Aaron felt a mixture of awe and unease. The planet was beautiful, but it was also completely alien. His first days were spent surveying the immediate area around the crash site. He repaired what he could of the ship's systems and set up a small perimeter. Every scan of the terrain suggested that he was alone. The readings showed no signs of intelligent life, no structures, no technology, nothing but natural formations. The initial relief of solitude gradually gave way to the heavy weight of loneliness. Aaron had faced challenges before, but this silence was unlike any he had known. Even the stars, usually a comforting sight, seemed distant and cold, as if mocking his solitude. He wandered further from the ship each day, exploring the forests and valleys. The flora was unlike anything cataloged in human databases. Trees with translucent leaves glowed faintly at night, their trunks shaped like spirals, and strange flowers emitted soft pulses of light. Some plants moved in subtle ways when he approached, almost as if they were aware of his presence. Aaron collected samples carefully, noting the properties and potential uses, keeping a meticulous record in his journal. It was work that reminded him of home, yet it could not replace the presence of another mind, another soul. One night, while scanning a crystalline crater that glowed with a soft blue light, Aaron felt a strange sensation. The hairs on his arms stood up, not from cold but from an unexplainable awareness. He turned slowly, expecting to see some nocturnal creature, but the crater was empty. Then, from the shimmering walls of the crystal, a figure began to emerge. At first, it was a faint glow, like light reflecting from water, but gradually it took form. A tall, graceful figure stepped forward, moving as though weightless. Her eyes shone with the reflection of the twin suns, and her presence felt simultaneously powerful and gentle. Aaron froze. He had trained for first contact scenarios, but nothing in his manuals prepared him for this. The being spoke, though not with a voice he heard through his ears. The sound was melodic, entering his mind directly, carrying meaning rather than words. "I am Lyriel," she said. "I have watched this world for centuries. You are far from home, human, and yet you walk here with curiosity, courage, and care." Aaron struggled to speak. I am Captain Aaron Vale. I didn't expect to find anyone here. Are you real?" Lyriel smiled, a gesture that seemed to light the surrounding crystals. "I am as real as the world around you. You are not alone, though you believe you are. This planet has long awaited someone like you." For the first time in days, Aaron felt a rush of relief mixed with disbelief. He had read of intelligent life beyond Earth, of civilizations that might exist in distant corners of the galaxy, but this, meeting someone or something, was beyond comprehension. He tried to gather his thoughts. "I don't know how I got here. The warp drive malfunctioned. I need to find a way back." Lyriel nodded, understanding more than he expected. "The path back is not simple, human, but there is time. You are here for reasons that may reveal themselves soon. Come, let me show you the world as it truly is." Over the next days, Lyriel guided Aaron through hidden valleys and forests that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Rivers of liquid light wound through crystalline trees, and the plants responded to their presence, glowing brighter when Lyriel approached. Aaron was amazed. He had explored strange planets before, but nothing was alive in this way. It was as if the planet itself was a living being, breathing and moving with purpose. Lyriel shared knowledge of her people, explaining that her civilization had long observed other worlds from afar. Her people were cautious, watching and learning, yet rarely interacting. They had seen humans rise, fall, create, and adapt, and she found them endlessly fascinating. She told Aaron that his kind possessed qualities rare among intelligent species: resilience, ingenuity, and a unique sense of morality that shaped their choices in ways no algorithm or AI could predict. Aaron listened, captivated. He shared his own stories, speaking of humanity's struggles and triumphs, of exploration and discovery, of the endless pursuit of knowledge and understanding. Lyriel absorbed each story, her eyes reflecting wonder and curiosity. It was strange for Aaron to find someone who valued his tales not for the entertainment they provided, but for the insight they offered into the human spirit. One evening, as the twin suns dipped below the horizon, casting long, colorful shadows across the crystalline landscape, they stumbled upon a structure hidden beneath a mountain ridge. It was unlike any architecture Aaron had seen: tall spires that seemed to grow naturally from the rock, surfaces that shimmered with energy rather than paint or metal. Lyriel explained that it was ancient, created by her ancestors as a repository of knowledge and a test for those who might one day walk this planet. Aaron felt a thrill of discovery mixed with caution. He approached slowly, scanning for traps or security systems. The structure seemed inert, yet the moment his hand touched a carved symbol, the air shimmered and a soft light filled the chamber. Holographic figures materialized, forming patterns and symbols that spoke of distant stars and histories long forgotten. Aaron felt a mixture of awe and confusion. Lyriel's voice rang in his mind. These are the trials of the ancients. They were meant to measure wisdom, creativity, and integrity. Few outsiders have ever been here, and none have completed them. Perhaps you will succeed where others have not. Aaron's heart pounded. The thought of facing a challenge designed to test every part of him was both thrilling and frightening, yet he also felt a strange confidence. Humans had faced impossible odds before, and he believed that curiosity, courage, and care, the qualities Lyriel had admired, might guide him through. As the night deepened, the chamber transformed. Lights shifted, pathways opened, and the walls displayed visions of distant worlds and complex puzzles. Aaron felt the weight of history and expectation pressing on him, but he also felt a sense of partnership. Lyriel was not just a guide. She was a witness to his choices, a silent partner in the discovery that lay ahead. Days passed as he explored the structure, solving initial puzzles and understanding the principles behind them. Each success brought a sense of accomplishment, yet the challenges grew increasingly complex. Aaron relied on human intuition, creativity, and empathy in ways that the rigid logic of his training had never demanded. He realized that the trials were not merely about knowledge, they were about understanding, about seeing the right path even when it was not the obvious one. Lyriel watched quietly, sometimes offering subtle guidance. She admired the way Aaron approached each obstacle. Where others might have forced solutions, he considered the consequences, weighing the balance of the world and the lives within it. She saw in him a reflection of the qualities her people had long sought in allies. Humans, she realized, were more capable than many believed. One morning, as Aaron sat by a pool of liquid light within the chamber, he reflected on his journey. He had landed here thinking he was alone, facing the weight of isolation and uncertainty. Yet now he understood that he was part of something far greater, a story that connected worlds, species, and the shared pursuit of knowledge. The presence of Lyriel had transformed his solitude into a partnership, and the planet itself had become a teacher, revealing truths he had never imagined. In that moment, Aaron felt hope. He realized that being lost was not the same as being alone, and that sometimes the universe had a way of guiding the right people to the right place at the right time. And though he did not yet know what challenges awaited, he felt ready to face them, not just as a human stranded on a strange planet, but as a representative of humanity's curiosity, resilience, and spirit. As the twin suns rose again, painting the landscape with a warm, golden glow, Erin rose and turned to Lyriel. Her eyes reflected the morning light, and for a moment, words were unnecessary. They both understood that the journey had only begun, that the planet held secrets that would test and teach them, and that the bond forming between them was as important as the trials ahead. Aaron took a deep breath, feeling the air of an alien world fill his lungs, and stepped forward. He was no longer merely a survivor. He was a pioneer, a learner, and perhaps, in time, a bridge between his world and hers. And somewhere deep in the silence of the stars, he knew that his story, and humanity's, was just beginning. The days on the alien planet passed differently than Aaron had ever experienced. Time seemed slower, yet fuller, as though each moment contained a layer of meaning waiting to be uncovered. Lyriel guided him through valleys filled with shimmering plants whose leaves whispered in the wind, even when no breeze moved. Rivers flowed with luminous water, reflecting colors that Aaron could not name. The land itself seemed alive, not merely a backdrop, but a presence watching, responding, and teaching. Aaron's days were filled with lessons he could never have imagined. Lyriel showed him how the plants and creatures communicated in subtle ways. Some flowers changed colors depending on their mood, while small, luminous insects responded to human touch with patterns of light. The lessons were not just about observation, but about understanding, about learning to perceive the world through senses he did not know he had. Aaron began to see the planet not as alien, but as a place of intricate balance, where every living thing was connected. Lyriel explained that her people had cultivated this harmony for centuries. They had learned that knowledge without understanding could be dangerous, and that wisdom came not from power but from care and awareness. She spoke of her people's long history, how they had watched other civilizations grow, and how rare it was to find one with the qualities they valued most: curiosity, creativity, and compassion. She said that humans fascinated her for their resilience and their capacity to imagine solutions in the face of impossible odds. Aaron listened, realizing that her admiration was genuine, but also carrying a quiet challenge. Could he prove that humanity's potential was more than tales and legends? One morning, they arrived at a vast valley surrounded by crystal walls that sparkled under the twin suns. In the center, a circular platform rose slightly above the ground, etched with patterns that pulsed with soft light. Aaron recognized this as another part of the ancient structure they had discovered earlier. The air was filled with a low hum, almost musical, and he felt a curious pull in his chest, as if the planet itself was urging him forward. Lyriel gestured toward the platform. "This is the test of understanding," she said. "It will challenge your perception, your reasoning, and your judgment. The answers are not always obvious, and sometimes there is no single solution. What matters is the thought behind the choice." Aaron approached the platform carefully. As he touched one of the glowing symbols, a series of holograms rose into the air. They depicted different scenarios, some simple, some complex. In one, a river threatened to flood a village, and the challenge was to redirect it without harming the surrounding forest. In another, a starship was trapped in a storm, and he had to find a way to save it without endangering other ships nearby. Each scenario required more than logic. It required empathy, creativity, and foresight. The hours stretched into days as he worked through each trial. Aaron realized that the challenges were not about speed or brute strength, but about understanding the consequences of every decision. If he acted too quickly, he could disrupt the balance. If he hesitated too long, the opportunity could be lost. The trials forced him to consider every angle, to see connections he had never noticed before. It was exhausting, yet exhilarating, and he felt a deep sense of purpose he had not experienced since leaving Earth. Lyriel watched him closely, offering guidance only when he struggled to see a solution. She never interfered directly, but her presence was reassuring, a reminder that he was not entirely alone. Her eyes reflected pride as Aaron approached each problem with determination and care. She had seen countless beings attempt these trials, but humans were different. Their creativity, their willingness to take risks for the right reason, and their moral compass made them uniquely capable. One evening, after a particularly challenging trial that involved redirecting the flow of energy through a crystalline network without harming the delicate ecosystem, Aaron sat down on the platform, exhausted but satisfied. He looked up at Lyriel, who hovered nearby, her form glowing softly in the twilight. "I think I understand a little more now," he said. "It's not just about solving a problem. It's about understanding the world around me, about seeing how everything connects." Lyriel smiled. "Exactly. Wisdom is not only in knowledge but in perception and care. You are learning what many have never understood, and it is that understanding that makes you remarkable." Aaron felt a swell of pride, yet it was tempered by humility. He had learned much, but he knew the trials were only the beginning. There was still so much to discover, not only about the planet but about himself. The isolation that had once weighed on him now felt lighter, replaced by curiosity and purpose. Over the next week, Lyriel took Aaron to places even more extraordinary. They visited floating gardens suspended by invisible energy, where flowers danced in midair. They walked along cliffs that glowed with bioluminescent patterns, illuminating pathways that seemed to defy gravity. Each experience was a lesson, each moment a revelation. Aaron began to see that the planet itself was a teacher, and that Lyriel was its guide, helping him unlock perspectives he had never imagined. One day, while exploring a cavern filled with crystalline structures that emitted soft harmonic tones, Aaron stumbled upon a small chamber hidden behind a curtain of sparkling light. Inside, he found a pedestal with a device that appeared to be some kind of communication or navigation tool. He studied it carefully, realizing that it could potentially help him find a way back to human space. But as he examined it, he also sensed a deeper purpose. The device seemed designed not just for travel but for connection, linking worlds, sharing knowledge, and creating understanding. Lyriel appeared beside him, her presence serene yet commanding. "This is one of the gifts of my people," she said. "It is not meant for conquest or personal gain. It is meant for those who will use it wisely, to learn, to teach, and to grow. Only those who prove themselves capable of understanding its value may use it." Aaron nodded. He realized that the trials had prepared him for this moment. His success would not be measured by his ability to operate the device, but by his understanding of its purpose. He approached the controls carefully, guided by the principles he had learned from Lyriel and from the planet itself. As he worked, the device activated, projecting a holographic map of the surrounding space. Stars, planets, and pathways shimmered in intricate detail. Aaron felt a surge of excitement and responsibility. The map offered a route back to human space, but it also revealed countless other worlds and civilizations. The possibilities were overwhelming, yet the knowledge was humbling. He realized that the universe was far more vast and interconnected than he had ever imagined, and that humanity's role within it was just beginning to take shape. Lyriel watched him with quiet approval. "You see now," she said, "that your journey is not just about returning home. It is about understanding your place in a larger story, about recognizing the potential of your kind to create, to connect, and to care. Humans are more than you know, and you are more than you believe." Aaron felt a deep sense of purpose. The loneliness that had once seemed unbearable was gone, replaced by a sense of belonging and responsibility. He understood that his journey on this planet was not just about survival, but about growth, about becoming a part of something greater than himself. Over the next days, he continued to explore the surrounding regions with Lyriel. They discovered hidden groves filled with rare plants, observed creatures that communicated through light and sound, and studied natural phenomena that challenged every law of physics he had learned. Each discovery was a lesson, each moment a test of perception and understanding. Aaron felt his mind expanding, his imagination stretching to encompass possibilities he had never considered. One evening, as they sat atop a cliff overlooking a valley filled with glowing flora, Lyriel spoke of her people's hopes. "We have watched many civilizations rise and fall," she said. "Few have shown the qualities we seek. Humans, however, are different. Your curiosity, your courage, and your capacity for care make you a beacon of hope. You are the first we have truly trusted with this knowledge, and perhaps the first to inspire a true connection between our worlds." Aaron listened, humbled and inspired. He realized that the journey he had thought was about survival was, in fact, about partnership, about understanding, respect, and the shared pursuit of knowledge. He felt a deep bond with Lyriel, not just as a guide, but as a fellow explorer, someone who saw in him the qualities that humanity could achieve at its best. As the twin suns set once more, painting the sky with colors that defied naming, Aaron felt a quiet excitement. The trials, the lessons, and the discoveries had prepared him for the challenges ahead. He understood that the path back to human space would be difficult, but he also knew that he would not face it alone. Lyriel's guidance, the wisdom of her people, and the lessons of the planet itself would accompany him. For the first time since the warp drive failure, Aaron felt a sense of true purpose. He was no longer just a man stranded on an alien world. He was a learner, a pioneer, and perhaps in time, a bridge between his world and hers. The journey was far from over, but he felt ready to face whatever lay ahead, guided by curiosity, courage, and the understanding that even in the vast loneliness of space, connection was possible. As night fell and the valley below shimmered with the soft glow of bioluminescent plants, Aaron and Lyriel prepared for the next challenge, knowing that each step brought them closer to understanding, closer to discovery, and closer to a future that neither had fully imagined, but both were ready to shape together. Aaron had come a long way since the crash. The planet, once strange and isolating, had become a teacher and a guide, revealing its secrets to him step by step. Yet he sensed that the greatest challenges were still ahead. Lyriel had led him through forests, valleys, and crystalline caverns, sharing the wisdom of her people and teaching him to see the world in ways he had never imagined. Now, they approached a region that radiated an energy unlike anything Aaron had ever encountered. The land stretched out as a vast plateau surrounded by jagged cliffs that shimmered with a faint golden light. In the center, a circular chamber rose from the ground, its surface engraved with patterns that pulsed rhythmically, like a heartbeat. Lyriel's eyes glowed softly. "This is the final trial," she said. "It is not meant to be easy. It will test your understanding, your courage, and your choices. What you do here will define how far you can go, not just on this planet but in the greater universe." Aaron approached the chamber with a mixture of anticipation and caution. The air was heavy with energy, and the patterns on the surface seemed to shift and flow as if alive. He reached out, and the chamber responded. A holographic projection filled the space around him, displaying scenarios and challenges more complex than any he had faced before. The trials were no longer simple puzzles or simulations. They were moral and ethical tests, scenarios that required him to balance logic, empathy, and creativity under pressure. The first challenge was immediate. A holographic village appeared under threat from an approaching storm. Aaron could redirect the storm's energy to protect the villagers, but in doing so, he risked damaging the surrounding forest and its delicate ecosystem. He paused, analyzing the situation. Quick action would save the villagers but harm the forest, while hesitation could put both at risk. Drawing from everything he had learned from Lyriel and the planet, he devised a solution that redirected the storm's energy into natural channels created by the crystalline formations. The villagers were safe, and the forest remained unharmed. The projection shimmered and shifted, acknowledging his decision. The second challenge was equally complex. A spacecraft was trapped in a magnetic storm, its engines failing. The hologram offered multiple solutions, each with risks. Some involved brute force, others relied on precise calculations and timing. Aaron considered each option, weighing potential outcomes. He remembered Lyriel's lessons about foresight, balance, and empathy. Choosing the solution that required collaboration rather than confrontation, he guided the spacecraft safely through the storm without causing collateral damage. The projection pulsed in approval, and he felt a quiet satisfaction. Hours turned into a full day as he navigated the trials. The scenarios grew increasingly intricate, blending physical challenges with ethical decisions. He was tested on patience, creativity, and moral judgment. Sometimes there was no clear right answer, only the best possible choice given the circumstances. He realized that the trials were not simply evaluating intelligence or skill, they were evaluating character. The hologram seemed to measure not just what he did, but why he did it. Lyriel observed him throughout, never intervening directly but offering subtle guidance when necessary. "Remember," she said at one point, "the universe is a web of connections. Every choice ripples outward. Think beyond the immediate and consider the greater balance." Her words stayed with him, influencing decisions he might otherwise have rushed. Aaron found that thinking carefully and valuing the lives and environments involved led to solutions he would have never imagined. The final challenge appeared without warning. A holographic projection of the planet itself emerged, showing its delicate ecosystems in fragile balance. A choice was presented. A source of incredible energy could be harnessed, offering immense knowledge and power to any who claimed it, but extracting it could destabilize the planet and harm countless living beings. Aaron felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. He understood immediately that this was not about clever solutions or quick thinking. It was about ethics, empathy, and restraint. He examined the energy source, observing the way it interacted with the surrounding environment. The crystals, the plants, the rivers, they were all connected, forming a delicate system that had evolved over millennia. Lyriel's words echoed in his mind. The universe is a web of connections. Every choice ripples outward. Aaron considered humanity's history, the way humans had often sought power without regard for consequence, and the times when they had chosen compassion and care instead. He knew that his choice would define not only his own path, but also the trust Lyriel's people placed in him. Aaron stepped forward, placing his hand near the source without touching it. Instead of seizing the energy, he focused on understanding it. He traced its flow through the environment, observing how it nourished life rather than exploiting it. He realized that the right choice was not to take, but to protect. Using knowledge he had gained from the planet and Lyriel, he rerouted the energy back into the natural systems, stabilizing the planet and preserving its harmony. The projection pulsed with radiant light, then slowly faded. Aaron felt a sense of accomplishment deeper than any he had experienced before. The final trial was complete, and he had not only succeeded, but had done so in a way that reflected the values Lyriel's people had admired in humanity. Courage, curiosity, empathy, and wisdom had guided him to a decision that honored both his own kind and the alien world that had hosted him. Lyriel appeared beside him, her form glowing softly. "You have succeeded," she said. Not because you are human, but because you understand what it means to act with care and insight. Your species has potential far beyond what many believe. You have proven that humans can be both creative and responsible, both courageous and compassionate. Aaron felt a mixture of pride and humility. He had always believed in human potential, but experiencing it firsthand, and having it recognized by someone from a civilization far more advanced, was humbling. He realized that the trials were not only a test for him, but also a lesson about what humanity could achieve when guided by wisdom and empathy. As they left the chamber, Lyriel led him to a serene plateau overlooking the surrounding lands. The twin suns hung low, casting long, golden shadows across the landscape. Aaron took a deep breath, feeling the planet's energy and presence surrounding him. He had faced tests that challenged his mind, his morals, and his perception, and he had emerged stronger and more aware. Lyriel spoke quietly, her voice melodic in his mind. "You are ready, Aaron. You have demonstrated what many could not. There is a path forward, not just for you, but for your people. The knowledge and understanding you carry can create bonds, solve problems, and inspire growth beyond what you have imagined." Aaron nodded, absorbing the weight of her words. He understood that his journey was no longer only about survival or discovery. It was about responsibility. The universe was vast and full of opportunities, but it was also delicate and interconnected. Every decision had consequences, and those consequences could ripple across worlds. He felt a renewed determination to act with care and courage, carrying the lessons of this planet with him. Over the next few days, Lyriel guided him to the final artifact of the planet's ancient civilization. It was a crystalline device, small yet radiant, capable of transmitting information across vast distances. She explained that it could allow him to communicate with his own people, sharing not only his experiences, but also the wisdom and knowledge he had gained. It was a gift, but also a responsibility. The knowledge it carried could help humanity avoid mistakes, make wiser decisions, and reach for new heights. Aaron studied the device carefully. He realized that its power was not in technology alone, but in the intention behind its use. If wielded wisely, it could benefit countless lives. If misused, it could cause harm. He felt the weight of the responsibility settle on his shoulders, understanding that his choices would shape the trust between his people and Lyriel's civilization. Lyriel placed a hand on his shoulder, her touch gentle yet grounding. "You have proven that humans can be wise, creative, and compassionate. The trials have shown you what it means to act with understanding. Now, it is up to you to take this knowledge home and use it wisely. You are the first of your kind to earn this trust, and perhaps the first to inspire a true connection between our worlds." Aaron nodded solemnly. He understood that the journey ahead would be challenging, but he felt ready. The trials had tested him, pushed him to his limits, and taught him lessons that would guide every choice he made from this moment onward. He felt a deep sense of purpose, knowing that his actions could shape the future not only for himself but for humanity as a whole. As the twin suns set once more, painting the sky with colors he could never name, Aaron and Lyriel looked out over the alien landscape. The planet was alive with light and energy, a testament to balance and harmony maintained over millennia. Aaron felt a quiet determination settle within him. He was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, armed with knowledge, wisdom, and the understanding that humanity could rise to meet the greatest challenges when guided by care, courage, and empathy. The trials were complete, but the journey was far from over. Aaron knew that the next steps would require courage, innovation, and trust, yet he also knew that he would not face them alone. Lyriel's guidance, the lessons of the planet, and the strength of human ingenuity were now his companions, shaping a path forward that promised discovery, connection, and hope. As night fell, the valley glowed softly under the light of the twin moons. Aaron felt a sense of calm and readiness unlike anything he had known. He had faced the ultimate test of wisdom and compassion, proving not only his own character, but also the potential of his people. The universe was vast and full of wonders, but he was no longer intimidated by its immensity. He was prepared to step into the next chapter of his journey, carrying the light of understanding and the promise of a bridge between worlds. Aaron stood at the edge of the plateau, watching the twin suns dip below the horizon for the last time before he returned to his own world. The planet that had once seemed strange and unwelcoming now felt like a mentor, a guide, and even a friend. Its lessons had changed him, opening his mind to perspectives he had never imagined, teaching him patience, empathy, and wisdom in ways no human classroom ever could. He felt a deep gratitude for Lyriel, whose guidance had been patient and profound, and for the planet itself, which had allowed him to prove what humanity was capable of. Lyriel approached him, her form glowing softly in the evening light. She had watched him grow from a stranded captain, struggling to survive, into someone who understood the delicate balance between power and responsibility. "The trials are complete," she said. "You have proven yourself worthy, Aaron, not only for yourself but for your people. The knowledge and trust you carry are precious. Use them wisely." Aaron nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. He held the crystalline device in his hands, marveling at its intricate design and the energy that seemed to flow within it. It was a bridge between worlds, a tool that could connect humans with Lyriel's civilization, offering understanding, knowledge, and the possibility of cooperation that had never existed before. He realized that this was more than a gift. It was a challenge, a test of what humanity could become if guided by wisdom and care. The path back to the Odyssey was illuminated by subtle lines of energy that the planet itself seemed to create, guiding him safely through forests and valleys that had once been mysterious and potentially dangerous. Aaron walked beside Lyriel, feeling a profound connection not just to her but to the world around him. Every plant, every crystal, every light and shadow seemed alive, and he understood now that the planet was not merely a place to survive. It was a living teacher, offering lessons to those who were willing to listen. As they approached the ship, Aaron reflected on everything he had learned. He had faced isolation, challenges, and moral tests, and he had emerged stronger, wiser, and more aware of the universe's complexity. He realized that the greatest discoveries were not about technology or power. They were about understanding, connection, and the choices one made. Humanity had potential, he thought, not because of its inventions or conquests, but because of its capacity for creativity, empathy, and courage. Lyriel stepped onto the deck of the Odyssey with him, her presence serene yet inspiring. "Your people have much to offer," she said. "They have the ability to explore, to learn, and to grow in ways that can benefit not only themselves but the greater universe. You have demonstrated that humans can rise to meet challenges with wisdom and compassion. I hope that your return marks the beginning of a new chapter for your kind." Aaron looked at her, feeling a mixture of admiration and gratitude. "I will do my best," he said, "not just for myself but for humanity. Everything I've learned here I want to share, not for power or glory but to help us grow, to help us connect, and to understand that we are part of something bigger." Lyriel smiled. "That is all we have ever asked. Knowledge without care is dangerous. Power without understanding is destructive. You have shown both insight and restraint, and that is why you are trusted." The next morning, Aaron prepared the ship for departure. The warp drive, which had been damaged during the crash, had been repaired with subtle guidance from Lyriel and knowledge gleaned from the ancient structure. Aaron checked systems meticulously, ensuring that everything was functioning properly. The Odyssey hummed with energy, ready to carry him home. As he stood on the bridge, he thought of the planet below, shimmering under the twin suns, and of Lyriel, whose presence had guided him through trials that tested more than skill. They tested his character. The launch sequence began. Aaron took a deep breath, feeling a mixture of excitement and solemnity. He activated the warp drive, and the familiar hum of engines resonated through the ship. As the stars stretched and twisted around him, he reflected on the journey. He had come to an alien world believing he was alone, facing isolation and uncertainty, and now he left with knowledge, wisdom, and the understanding that humanity's potential was far greater than he had ever imagined. During the journey back to human space, Aaron used the crystalline device to begin transmitting information. It was not just data about the planet or its ecosystems, but insights into ethics, decision-making, and understanding the consequences of actions. He shared stories of his trials, of the choices he had made, and of the lessons Lyriel and the planet had imparted. He knew that this knowledge would be invaluable to humanity, not as a tool of dominance, but as a guide for growth, cooperation, and understanding. Days later, the familiar stars of human space appeared on the view screen. Aaron felt a thrill of relief and anticipation. He had missed this sight, yet he had returned transformed. The isolation of the alien planet had taught him patience, observation, and reflection. The trials had tested his morals, creativity, and understanding. And Lyriel had shown him that humanity, when guided by wisdom and compassion, could be trusted with knowledge and responsibility on a cosmic scale. As he approached Earth's orbit, Aaron activated communications with the space authorities. He began sharing not only his findings but also the lessons he had learned. The response was mixed: curiosity, awe, and disbelief, but Aaron remained calm. He knew that the message was clear. Humanity had the potential to grow beyond its current limitations, to act with care and intelligence, and to forge connections with civilizations far beyond their own. He was invited to speak before scientific councils, space exploration committees, and international leaders. In every forum, he emphasized the values that Lyriel had taught him: curiosity guided by empathy, intelligence balanced with morality, and courage tempered by wisdom. He urged humanity to recognize that exploration was not just about reaching new worlds, but about understanding them, respecting them, and learning from them. The crystalline device remained with him, a symbol of trust and a tool for connection. It allowed him to communicate with Lyriel and her people, sharing discoveries and insights. Over time, humanity began to build a bridge with the alien civilization. Exchanges of knowledge, culture, and ideas flourished. Human technology improved, not through domination or extraction, but through observation, understanding, and collaboration. Humanity's potential began to shine in new ways, reflecting the lessons Aaron had learned on that distant, beautiful planet. Aaron often thought of Lyriel and the planet. He remembered the glowing forests, the rivers of light, and the crystalline chambers that had tested his mind and spirit. He remembered the lessons about balance, empathy, and foresight. Each time he faced a difficult decision, he reflected on those days and the wisdom they had imparted. He realized that the most important discoveries were not always technological or material. They were about understanding, connection, and the choices one made. Years passed, and humanity continued to expand its presence in space, guided by the principles Aaron had shared. Other civilizations took notice, and alliances were formed not through conquest, but through mutual respect and collaboration. Humans had proven that they could be more than explorers. They could be partners, learners, and stewards of knowledge. And in every step of that journey, Aaron remembered the lessons of the planet and the guidance of the alien princess who had appeared when he thought he was alone. Lyriel visited occasionally through the crystalline device, sharing insights about her world and observing humanity's progress. Each communication was a reminder of the bond formed between their worlds, a testament to the potential of understanding, cooperation, and shared curiosity. Aaron knew that the connection was fragile, yet strong enough to grow, nourished by respect, empathy, and the pursuit of wisdom. In quiet moments, Aaron would gaze at the stars, remembering the isolation he had felt and the journey that had transformed it into purpose. The universe was vast, full of challenges and mysteries, yet humanity had proven that it could rise to meet them. The lessons of that alien world remained with him, guiding his actions and inspiring those around him. He understood that being alone was never truly the same as being disconnected. True connection came from understanding, empathy, and courage, the qualities that define the human spirit. Aaron continued to explore, to learn, and to share, carrying forward the promise of humanity's potential. The twin suns of that distant planet became a symbol in his mind, a reminder that knowledge must be balanced with care, that curiosity must be guided by empathy, and that courage is most meaningful when it is tempered by wisdom. He knew that humanity had the power to shape its future, not through domination or fear, but through understanding, cooperation, and the pursuit of what was right. As he looked out at the stars, he felt a quiet sense of fulfillment. The journey that had begun in isolation had led to discovery, growth, and connection. He had faced trials that tested his mind, heart, and character, and he had emerged stronger, wiser, and ready to help guide humanity toward a future full of possibility. The alien planet, Lyriel, and the challenges he had faced were no longer distant memories. They were part of him, shaping his thoughts, guiding his choices, and inspiring his vision for what humanity could become. Aaron smiled softly, thinking of the princess who had appeared when he thought he was alone. She had opened the door to a new understanding of the universe and of his own kind. Humanity was capable of greatness, not through conquest or domination, but through care, creativity, and courage. And as the Odyssey continued its journey through the stars, he carried that lesson with him, a beacon for the future and a testament to the power of understanding and connection. The stars stretched endlessly before him, each one a reminder that the universe was vast, full of mystery and potential. Aaron knew that he had only begun to explore its possibilities, yet he also knew that humanity, guided by the lessons he had learned, could rise to meet them. The journey ahead would be long, filled with challenges and discoveries, but it was a journey worth taking. For in the vast expanse of the cosmos, connection, understanding, and courage were the true measures of strength, and humanity now had the chance to shine like never before. As the ship glided through the silent expanse of space, Aaron felt a profound peace. He was no longer alone. He was part of something greater, a thread in the fabric of the universe, carrying the light of human curiosity, courage, and wisdom to the stars. And somewhere far away, the alien princess watched, smiling at the promise that had begun when a human captain dared to step into the unknown and prove that even in the vastest loneliness, humanity could rise. He thought he was alone until the alien princess appeared.